In a bright, colorful bedroom filled with soft toys and cheerful drawings on the walls, the air was thick with tension. The room, usually a haven of play and imagination, had become the stage for an unexpected confrontation. Maya, the housekeeper, stood in the middle of the room, her hands planted firmly on her hips. Her gaze was stern, and her lips pressed tightly together as she scolded two boys standing before her. The older of the two, Max, looked down at the floor, his face smeared with chocolate. His younger brother, Timmy, stood silently by his side, looking both nervous and confused. "Max," Maya scolded, "what did I tell you about eating sweets before dinner?" Her voice was a sharp reprimand, echoing against the pastel walls. Max gulped, trying to avoid her gaze. His face, however, betrayed him. Chocolate smeared across his cheek, and his shirt was dotted with sticky fingerprints. I didn't mean to," Max stammered, guilt flooding his eyes. Timmy, standing beside him, looked up in alarm, his own face painted with the same sticky evidence of chocolate indulgence. It was clear that the younger boy had been swept up in the mischief, but it was Max who had led them into trouble. Maya's gaze softened for a moment, but it quickly returned to its firm reprimanding stance as she pointed a finger toward the mess. "You both know the rules," she said with a sigh. "Now we've got a big cleanup to do." At that moment, the door to the room creaked open, and another figure entered. This was Laura, the head housekeeper. She wore a blue uniform, complete with yellow rubber gloves that made her look both concerned and startled. Her eyes widened as she took in the scene. "What happened here?" Laura exclaimed, her voice tinged with disbelief. She surveyed the room, Max, looking guilty with chocolate all over him, Timmy standing by him in similar disarray, and Maya in full scolding mode. Max and Timmy exchanged a glance before Max spoke up. "We didn't mean to make a mess, but the chocolates, they were just too tempting." Laura couldn't help but chuckle at the innocence in their voices, even as Maya raised an eyebrow. She gave the boys a small smile, knowing full well that mischief was often a part of childhood. "Well," Laura said, her tone light but still firm, "it looks like we have a little cleanup mission on our hands." With that, Maya gave the boys a gentle nod. "All right, boys, let's start by getting those faces cleaned up, and then we'll get to work on fixing this mess." Max and Timmy nodded sheepishly, and together, they began the task of wiping their faces clean under Maya's watchful eye. Despite the stern words, there was a certain warmth in the air as they started working together to fix the trouble they had caused. As they scrubbed and tidied up, Laura, ever the one to make light of the situation, began singing a playful tune. Slowly, Max and Timmy joined in, their spirits lifting with the music, and Maya couldn't help but smile. The room was soon returned to its usual state of cheerful chaos, but one thing had changed. The lesson was learned. Chocolates before dinner were best enjoyed in moderation, and the messy fun of childhood should always come with a bit of responsibility. As the day went on, laughter filled the room once again, and the boys, now with clean faces and a sense of accomplishment, promised Maya and Laura they would be more careful next time. The toys and drawings continued to fill the walls, but so too did the memories of a moment when rules, kindness, and a touch of humor turned a messy situation into a valuable lesson. As the day drew on, the laughter and lessons from earlier began to fade into the background, but the memory of the chocolate incident stayed with Max and Timmy. It was hard to forget the feeling of being caught red-handed, but they had learned something important about rules and responsibility, even if it had come with a bit of a messy price. That evening, after dinner, Maya decided to take the opportunity to reinforce the lesson. The room was peaceful now, the toys neatly tucked away, and the colorful drawings on the walls bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun. "Okay, boys," Maya said with a playful smile. "How about we make a deal? If you promise me no more chocolate before dinner tomorrow, we can have a special dessert on Sunday." "Deal." Max and Timmy exchanged excited glances, their eyes lighting up. "Deal," they both exclaimed, as if the very thought of a special dessert was enough to erase all memories of the previous mishap. Laura, who had been tidying up in the corner, looked over at the boys and nodded. "I think they've learned their lesson," she said with a wink. "But we'll still keep an eye on them." The next morning, as the boys played in the living room, Maya quietly set out a bowl of fruit on the kitchen table, a healthy, sweet treat for the boys. When Max and Timmy came into the kitchen and spotted it, they couldn't help but grin. Fruit for breakfast? Timmy said, scrunching up his nose playfully. We're not allowed to eat chocolate, but this looks pretty good. Max picked up a strawberry, holding it out to Timmy. I think I'm starting to like this healthy stuff, he said, taking a bite and pretending to savor it with a dramatic flourish. Not bad, actually. Maya watched them from the kitchen doorway, her arms crossed, but her eyes full of pride. The boys had learned, and they were taking it in stride. Even when they faced temptation, they could make the right choice, one step at a time. Later that week, on Sunday, true to her word, Maya prepared a special dessert for them, a homemade chocolate cake. As the boys eagerly sat down at the table, she made sure to remind them of the deal. Remember, she said with a wink, this is a treat because you kept your promise. But only in moderation, okay? Max and Timmy nodded enthusiastically, their faces bright with excitement. As they ate the cake, they couldn't help but feel a little extra proud of themselves. From that day on, Max and Timmy kept their promise to Maya and Laura, savoring their treats with care and always remembering the lesson they had learned. And as they looked at the colorful drawings on the walls of their room, they were reminded not just of their playful moments, but of the responsibility they had learned to embrace in the process. It was a messy day that had turned into something more, a reminder that even when things go wrong, there's always a chance to make it right and find joy in the small victories along the way.